Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Can't Be Bothered. We are joining you from around the world, it seems, this episode. Today we are going to be talking about cast trips, our favorite cast trips. So we're really excited. I am calling from Dubai.
I was gonna ask, where are you in the world right now?
I am in Dubai, honoring when Real Housewives of Beverly Hills traveled all the way over there once upon a time. And you are a bit more recent, it seems.
Yeah, I'm at the Trixie Motel in my favorite room, the Flamingo Room. This is the
Hmm.
one that I would choose if I was going
Yeah.
there.
So pretty.
We love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love the wall so much.
I know it's such a cool idea, and I'm really not a pink person, as you
Yeah.
know. I'm
Yeah.
more of a black and white kind of person.
Black
Um,
and white.
with a hint of gray.
Yeah.
But I do love the kind of what's that called? Like color pop,
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, ice cream. It's just like there's
Hmm.
something cool about it.
Ice cream.
You
It's
know what I'm
so cute.
saying?
Yeah, I do. And this shade of pink is really sweet too. I really like this one
Yeah.
with the green.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a fun episode. I love when casts go on trips and they do fun things that I wish I could do.
I
And there's been
know.
some really iconic ones over the last few years, so I'm super excited to dive into it.
I know.
Where do you want to
Living.
start? Where are we flying to first?
Oh
Guide
my
us.
gosh. Well, okay. I think like maybe talking about Beverly Hills, some of
Yeah.
those cast trips, because it's just, we've just started season 14, I believe. It's 14?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's kind of stirring in my mind. Um, yeah, so with Beverly Hills, I know the Hong Kong trip was like a really big one. There was a lot
Yeah.
that went down.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the Hong Kong trip?
I mean, there was so much going on that trip because I think they had a fight on the boat ride, going to a restaurant, and then when they got there, the fights just like continued.
Yeah.
I that dinner scene sticks in my mind so prominently. When Lisa Rinna asked Dorit if people were doing coke in her bathroom. It's just one of the most iconic moments on Real Housewives in general that I just love so much. Um, and Lisa Vanderpump being like just so British in her response. I would jump across the table. Like she was just getting so angry on behalf of Tori.
Oh my
And Kyle
gosh.
was just shocked. Like everybody was just so much. And then yeah, Erica ended up like crying. Like just so much was going on that trip.
There was a lot. There was a
Yeah.
lot of tension, and I feel like it all came to a head in that moment.
So true. So
Yeah.
true.
I feel like it was kind of sad because I feel like they didn't even like get to eat. Like,
Yeah, they didn't. You're so
oh
you're so
man.
right.
I would be very sad if I was in Hong Kong and I didn't even really get to
Yeah.
eat or enjoy my meal. I feel like it would have just been such good food.
I feel like that was an era too of Real Housewives, especially doing cast trips that were really focused on like luxury. Now it is that. I'm not going to say it's not, but it's so much more focused on like going to a beach or having like a warm vacation, and it's more fun in that way. These ones were ones where it's like, we're going to go high end shopping in Hong Kong. We're going to
Yeah,
go Dubai and like do all these really unique excursions. Like I just kind of miss that when they would like actually be like traveling together
I
really
know.
far.
That's so true. I feel like also COVID had a huge impact on that, like how
Yeah,
far they can travel,
so true.
people's comfort levels. Like, I can imagine it would have been an absolute nightmare behind the scenes to try and navigate and negotiate that with
Oh,
everybody and different
yeah.
comfort levels.
Yeah, that
Uh,
would be so awful.
yeah, I feel like now that, we're kind of in a different state with that, or at least we have more knowledge and more
Mhm.
tools for protecting ourselves. Maybe we'll see some pretty big trips coming up. That's what I
Yeah,
hope
it's
for.
true. But yeah, the Hong Kong trip especially like sticks out in my mind as well as the Dubai one, hence this. The
Yeah.
hotel rooms really stick out in my mind. I remember, I think I was like a little under the influence when I was watching that episode and being absolutely shocked and overwhelmed by the rooms because I think each hotel room that they got was like the size of a fucking house.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
had the whole entire upper floor.
Yeah.
Like yeah, every suite seemed to be a presidential suite. Like I
Yeah.
remember being absolutely stunned. And that's one of the nice things too about these trips is when they go to a hotel, everybody gets a nice room.
Yeah.
Whereas when they go to rent a house or something, it's always like the most ridiculous drama to pick a room.
Yeah.
So I loved seeing everybody get a really nice room.
Yeah, and I think Eileen was like facing the aquarium too. She had like sharks and shit like
Oh,
swimming in front of her bed, and I
I
was like,
don't remember
what the
that.
fuck? Yeah, it was wild. If we have any reference photos, we'll put them on Instagram because I remember just being like, "Oh my God, this is like the craziest thing I've ever seen."
Wow.
And yeah, I think like those outfits, what were those things called that Kyle and Vanderpump wear all the time? They're like those big moo looking things.
Oh, a caftan.
Okay, yeah, they love them and they were
Yeah.
wearing them so much around Dubai and all of them were buying that. And, like they were just so like they were just leaning into this like super comfy and elegant vibe.
Yeah. I mean, I
Not
get
my
it
look.
and I respect it. I mean, I get why that was the case.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Not my vibe, but loved that they were just like on this girls' trip being super comfy. And like I think Vanderpump was wearing her hair in a bun a lot during that time too. I was like, yes, girl, I love this. It was so sweet.
True. The warm weather, just easy
Mhm.
breezy.
Yeah, it
That
was
was a
nice.
great trip. I
Yeah.
also really loved Germany. I think that was one with
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, specifically seeing the fashion.
Yeah.
I
Erica
fucking
gave
loved
it.
it.
Yeah.
Erica absolutely gave it. Obviously, Dorit is a fashion queen as well, and of course she did too.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing Erica's outfits.
Me too.
There was like the latex moment. That was amazing with the bangs. Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh
Bright
my
red.
gosh.
That was
Yeah.
such a good look. One of my favorite looks of all time of
Me too.
Erica's.
Yeah, me too. And I think even in Hong Kong, didn't she have like a pink wig in Hong Kong too?
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
love
think
that.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. I
I
know
love
she almost
Erica.
got hit by a bike when she was trying to scoot across the street in her latex, but it was worth it. It
It's
paid off.
so funny. So funny. I love those
Oh
women. I'm
man,
so happy that the new season's out and I get to reconnect with them again.
I know. So what
Mhm.
about Orange County? What's your favorite trip from Orange County?
I mean, I what the first thing that comes to mind is that trip. I think this is where like Tres Amigas really came from, was when Tamara, Shannon, and Vicky were like so beyond drunk sitting beside a pool at that table. And when Vicky's phone starts ringing, they start dancing to it and she forgets how to answer a phone. Like that is so wild to think about being that drunk. And it was just hilarious to see them like that. And I think Tamara like breaking her leg or her ankle at one point because she was so drunk, like running into a hot
Mm,
tub. And I do remember, I forget what trip this was on when Vicky like came out of her hotel room on a stretcher. Like they always end up, somebody ends up getting into an ambulance on one of the trips in OC, and she had like a sheet covering her head as they were
yep.
like,
That was the Iceland trip.
oh my
That was my
gosh,
favorite trip
right,
that they
yeah, yeah,
did.
yeah.
Was
Hmm.
Iceland. She was covered in a sheet. It looks like they're carting out her dead body
Yeah,
and meanwhile she just doesn't want to be seen. That whole thing was so
it
dramatic
was so
and
funny.
it's always Vicky. It's
Yeah,
when someone gets
always.
hurt, it's always Vicky.
Yeah,
Oh
always.
man.
I
I
mean, the
did
three of
love that.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true. They're always getting up to something.
yeah,
But they are a lot of fun, like when they do their Mexico trips and they get
yeah.
super drunk. I mean, I don't think I would be so bold to just like walk home by myself in
No.
Mexico, not knowing the area.
Yeah,
That is kind of scary. But so much fun, like them dancing on the bar,
yeah,
being drunk in the pool, just they had so much fun and they were letting loose and it
yeah.
made the viewers feel happy.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we've said this before that OC is really the only series that I find uh, is the most like let loose and they are the most like whatever. I feel like some other are just a bit more like snooty woody. So I really like that about Orange County that they can kind of let go and just be like wasted on camera. It's hilarious. And I
Yeah.
think it's funny too where they do the flashbacks to Vicky like doing a keg stand and stuff and her now being like, I don't drink. It's like, girl, like you were literally like the icon of this whole series that does that.
Oh my gosh, so
Yeah.
true. Yeah. I really did like the Iceland trip because I
Yeah.
feel like it was just kind of a different vibe. Again, it's not going somewhere warm or tropical,
Yeah.
something a little bit out of their comfort zone, maybe a
Yeah.
bit more rustic.
Yeah.
I loved like the place that they stayed. It was like this
Mhm.
lodge, had like the, you know, campfire
Mm,
outside.
love it.
But there was that really weird dinner. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like all the Vikings, like they
Oh
had all
my
the Vikings.
gosh. Yes.
And there was like a Viking dance or something.
Oh, that's so funny. I totally
And there
forgot
was
about
like
that.
weird fighting. I don't think anyone could follow what people were fighting about, but it was
No,
just like
no.
weird tension while all these like Vikings are in
Vikings.
the
Oh my God, I love watching Bravo. Like,
I
honestly, when
know.
stuff like that happens, I'm like, who
Yeah,
thought
I
of
know.
this?
Did you see that meme that was like, oh, I watched Bravo for all the powerful women and intelligent conversations, and then it's like the intelligent conversations.
It's Vikings screaming in the background.
Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Yeah.
I feel like one trip that deserves like a good moment for is Scary Island on New York. That was such a trip. And I mean like trip and trip.
Yeah.
That one, like Kelly, was that? Yeah, that was her name, right?
Yeah.
Kelly. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she was not okay in that episode. There was a lot of shit going on for her.
There was so much. I feel like that is probably the most iconic, well-known cast trip of all
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like I don't remember that much of it. I do
Same.
remember kind of thinking like, the ladies are being like really mean to her. They're kind of
Yeah.
like leaving her out. And I could see where Kelly was coming from in that. I thought like it could have been prevented. It did not have to be like that.
No.
Um, but once she got there, yeah, it just shit kind of hit the fan and it was just very dramatic.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was super dramatic. And I think Bethany just telling her to go to sleep is one of my favorite things ever. I just love that as just a statement to
I
shut
know.
somebody down.
Yep, leave it to Bethany.
Just go to bed. Respectfully. Yeah, it was funny. And like I think even people that don't watch Real Housewives know of that scene and know of that dinner. I do agree. Like I don't remember like specific details as to like why they were fighting, but I remember feeling like I understand where Kelly's coming from, but she just needed to like leave and like stop. And she was like, "Oh no, Bethany's gonna like kill me." Like she was on this whole like paranoia thing. And I remember being
Yeah.
like, "You like need to leave this island and go home and just like reset because you don't seem okay."
Yeah, that was like
Like, no.
totally aggravating the whole situation. It did not have to get to that point. I
No.
do feel really curious about what was happening behind the scenes in terms of production, any
Yeah.
kind of like, encouraging people to get together when maybe they should have had their space. I don't know. I'm not
That's
throwing out any
true.
accusations, but we
Mhm.
just don't know. And I'd be so curious to hear like what was happening behind the scenes.
That's such a good point. I didn't even think of that because there may be people who are like, I need a break, and they're like, no, you're gonna go for dinner, actually.
Yeah, you need more time
You
on
need more
air.
time with these people.
Oh man,
Ugh.
we just never
So
know.
I was reflecting on because I only recently watched the very beginning of New Jersey. Um, I didn't see it for a really long time. I'd only seen the first few seasons, so I was rewatching from the beginning, and that trip where they go to Italy was so wild. Yeah, that was so great. Like all of these kids, there was like 20 or 30 of them
Oh
going to
yeah.
Italy. With
Trying
all
to
they went
remember.
on that like cruise ship and it was Melania's like birthday and she was like screaming and crying when they were like singing her happy birthday at the dinner table on the
Right.
cruise.
Oh
It was just
man.
such a mess. And then they were like all climbing up this mountain to go see where like Teresa's husband's
Right.
family was, and they all have all these like elderly people and like babies. So it was so much.
Yeah. I did appreciate like seeing um the small town that Joe is from and just kind of
Yeah.
like seeing his family and like having some of the traditional perspective come out. Like I did like that,
Mhm.
but the thought of going there with that many people with this like humongous extended family and friends, big
30
Italian, like
people.
all the kids, like no thank you. That sounds like a fucking nightmare to me. I don't know.
Remember when I sent you and Caitlin that video of
What?
Teresa's husband Joe yelling at her because she was standing on the gondola? And he was like, Teresa!
Oh my Trey. Trey.
Oh my God. I
I
just thought it's so
forgot about
funny. Like they were
that.
all so sick of each other at that point from traveling. And like Teresa just
Exactly.
wouldn't sit down because she wanted to get all these pictures on her BlackBerry of her kids
Yeah.
on the gondola. And he was like, Trey, sit down.
On
So
her BlackBerry.
funny.
I'm dead. I
Oh,
forgot that that was the
totally,
same trip.
totally forgot about that.
He was so mad and like the tension between them.
Yeah.
Whew.
And it was super eerie because he ended up like all that legal stuff happened like I think the year after, and then he ended up getting deported and moving there to see his like it's just so weird that they were there visiting like, oh, this is where Joe's family's from, and he
I
ended up
know.
like living there. Uh,
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I don't think he minded though, to be honest.
Yeah, no, he was like, okay, this is the
He
next chapter of
seems
my
to be
life.
thriving now.
Yeah, he's okay.
Oh man. Well, when I think of New Jersey, I also think about the Ireland trip for Dolores.
Yeah.
I really liked that trip. I know there was
Yeah.
so much that happened. Like at the dinner table, that huge fight, and it was like, I don't even remember what the drama was, but someone spilled the tea about something and they weren't supposed to, even though they spilled it to each other, and then it's gonna get out. It's just like a big fucking mess with these women.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to
Um,
keep track. I feel like especially that series, like they have a hard time keeping track of who says what to who
yeah.
and to not say anything, but it's on camera. Like it's really confusing. I mean, I love that for Dolores. Like I think it was nice to see her in a happy relationship and like want to show her friends
Yeah.
that part of her life. It was really sweet. But yeah, the tension between I think it was like talking about Antonia and Teresa's kids like not going to a birthday party. Like there was a lot of tension between Melissa and Teresa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just getting old. Like
Oh yeah.
we want something new. We're
Yeah,
ready for
100%.
something, different at this point. Um, but it was really nice to see like those fun moments in
Mhm.
Ireland. I really liked some of the fashion that people were bringing.
Yeah.
I loved when they went like bar hopping. That
Yeah,
was super
see,
fun. Like it
that
was
was
just
really
really
fun.
cute, and again, like kind of a change of scenery.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It was a really fun trip, and seeing Jackie kind of like in her element of like chugging beers at the pub was like really
Yes.
cute. Yeah, I
I
love that.
know. Even though there's a lot in the headlines right now, I do love to see Jackie thriving.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yeah, so love that. New Jersey is a trip. I'm really excited about the new season and see where they go and what they do and how Melissa and Teresa are going to navigate those dynamics moving forward.
Well, I heard that they had a cast trip planned, but they had to cancel it because
Yeah.
Teresa and Melissa couldn't go together and be in the same space. So it's like, come on, guys, figure
Yeah.
it out.
It's wild to me that they're even like letting them both be on the cast at the same time. Like I think a decision needs to be made at some point of who's going to stay and who's going to go. I understand that it's drama and like that's what they want essentially, but they're not going to be around each other. It's kind of to that point. It's almost like Ariana and Tom Sandoval. Like they're not going to be in the same room. So they just
100%.
need
And
to
it's
move on.
also like such a big impact on their kids too, right? Like it's full
Always.
family systems. It's
Yeah.
not just the two of them,
Yeah.
but someone, yeah, I totally agree. Someone's got to, period.
Period. We have to talk about Salt Lake City.
Yeah, there's so much. Oh man.
Zion.
Zion was I believe that was pre-arrest.
Wasn't that the trip of the arrest? I thought. Because I think Meredith wasn't there for it because she was already there. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm confusing
Jen
them.
was Jen was at the Zion trip.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm getting
Um, maybe it was after arrest when she was like waiting. You know, when she
Oh, they went to San Francisco, I think. They went somewhere in the States for that one.
it's so confusing because they did a few trips that were
Yeah.
all very similar to each other.
Yeah, they
I
were.
remember Zion, Mary was still on the show, so it would have been pre.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right.
Right. So
Okay.
Mary, if you remember, it was I think Whitney's trip, and she wanted everyone to have this like healing spiritual experience. Remember
Oh,
they were walking in that circle
yeah.
doing that meditation.
Oh,
Meredith was
Mary.
late. She refused to wear white, which I love. She's like, I'm not subscribing to your dress code
Yeah.
in her little accent. And then Mary's like standing in the background, like, nah, nah, not doing it. And that energy was
Classic.
funny then, but it's definitely overkill now.
Yeah, it's just getting to the point where like why are you now on, I mean, we've said this before and I will say it again that like why are you on a show if you don't want to do anything on it? I don't understand.
Yeah, she's giving nothing.
It's giving
Um,
nothing and it's giving toddler.
yeah, and very V toxic.
Yeah.
Um, but I did really like the Zion trip because it was kind of fun to see them in this uh position where they're having to like embrace their spirituality and like kind of meditate,
Right.
and just the discomfort around that, the
Yeah.
clashing. That was when Meredith had her iconic line. She got up at the table and she's like, love you baby, bye. So she was arguing with Jen. People were calling her a liar for saying that like she ratted to the FBI.
Hmm.
So it's just that whole thing, and it kind
Yeah.
of blew up.
What trip was it where Lisa had her mic moment where she was like ranting about Meredith? Do you remember? Because I can't quite place it.
I don't remember.
It was on a cast trip though, I think.
I think it was, yeah. Hot mic moment.
Oh,
I'm
it was
Googling it now
brutal.
because I'm like, what
Okay.
was it?
It was brutal. That was a tough trip, whatever trip that one was. I think that was after Jen's arrest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Um, that was in season 3.
Oh, man, it was so tough.
So much happened in such a short time.
I
Like that was
know.
really hard to follow
I know.
everything. Um, oh man, but yeah, that was a really tough moment, and just
Yeah.
like
Could you imagine like going through that kind of fight and like not being able to go home, like being on a trip?
yeah.
Also, I
There's
find it
just
really funny to think about like each housewife like hosting or being like, this is Whitney's trip. Like they're not doing anything. Production's doing all that, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think Whitney's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like their idea, but
They
they're not
initiate it.
executing any of it.
Yeah, true. True
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, that was tough. I don't think I could like come back from that.
Yeah.
Like I can't there's certain lines that I can't imagine crossing in a
Mhm.
friendship, and it's like no matter how heated you get, no matter what happens, like you just you just wouldn't go there still.
No, yeah, no, that was totally uncalled for. It doesn't matter how angry you are. Like, I also don't think that way about my friends. So it's
Exactly.
like, it doesn't even matter like the degree of anger that I would be at for like the truth to come out. If that is your truth, why are you friends with that person? you know.
Exactly. Yeah. V sus.
Vsauce.
Icky.
You're right though. Salt Lake City is so hard to keep up with, like, and what trips and who they're going, just with like legal problems and like
I
so much happens
know.
in each season. It just feels like it's all happened at once.
Yeah. And there is no sign of it slowing down either because we are on a fucking roll with
Oh
this
yeah,
season.
yeah.
Again, we'll have to do a recap of that because there is a lot going
I
on.
know we just did one, but I feel like we need another one. Like it's
I
literally
know.
nonstop. It's absolutely wild. And I also have to say too, before we get into like shot rest, there was like I am thinking a lot about how like a lot of the trips the last year or two are very centered around like these wellness retreats, and we've kind of like briefly touched on
Mhm.
some toxicity in that field. And so I think that's a whole episode within itself. But
I
it's
agree.
interesting to see which cast members initiate those types of trips, which is always ironic.
Yep.
Whitney. And like, what are the intentions? What is the awareness behind them? What's the respectfulness, the cultural respectfulness and awareness going into those trips? Like, it all just feels a bit tone deaf to me most times.
Yep.
But at the same time, I do think it can be what they're trying to do from a production side of things is to have these vulnerable and honest conversations and like having these safe spaces to do that in, really just to facilitate drama, I think, to a certain degree. So I don't think it's necessarily aligned, like kind of like the therapy conversation that we're going to be having soon, like the ethics around that.
Yeah, totally. I think the spiritual, wellness, self-healing industry, like that's a whole other ball game, but yeah, that'd be a great episode to do as well.
So Jen Shaw, that was a really memorable trip before it even got started. Should hit
So
the fan.
we're in the Sprinter van in the parking lot of
We're
Beauty
in
Lab.
it. We're
We're
feeling. I can't believe we're a beauty lab too, of all places.
I
Like, oh
know.
God. I
Can
mean,
you
great
imagine if
for.
they had like security? She has security cameras for the parking lot and gets to like play that back.
Yeah, or like people who go to beauty lab who maybe like fans would be like, this is where it happened. Like they totally like worked off that. But
Yeah.
yeah, Jen Shaw getting some mysterious phone call while in the Sprinter van, supposedly potentially a tip to say that the DEA is coming for you. Is that
I
the
I think so.
Yeah, the police, the
The
FBI.
yeah.
Yeah, the big guys are coming for
Yeah.
you.
They're coming.
And she left. What do you think? Do you think she actually got a tip, or was it her husband supposedly saying like I'm not feeling well?
Um I don't think that it was her husband saying he's not feeling well. I just
Agreed.
don't really believe in coincidences that much.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was the code. I feel like she probably knew that it was coming to some degree.
Yep.
And maybe they had talked about a plan, like in case this ever happens, here's my cue to let you know. If it even was her husband on the phone, or it was someone else just giving her a heads up. Like it could have
Yeah,
been her
totally.
business partner.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they had left on the Sprinter van and like them just pulling over the Sprinter van?
That would have been so dramatic. I feel like people are slightly disappointed that that didn't
Yeah.
happen, but it
But
was
at the
still
same
dramatic.
time, I feel like it was interesting to see them all like driving and processing and getting like news articles were coming out as they were in the Sprinter van driving. Like she had left, I think an hour or two later, everything had happened and everything was in the media. Like that was such a trip to watch them process out loud.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was really like I don't know, cringy, I guess, just watching Lisa Barlow's process around that. Like
Yeah, I
that
was
whole
gonna
thing was
say that
just
was weird.
very weird and like calling her lawyer and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? This is not about you, girl."
I
Like
know. It was so strange. I don't understand that
no.
go to, but that was the route she chose to process.
Yes. I
I
did
also
love, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, it's okay.
I was gonna say that Whitney kind of being like, well, I think this is what's happening because of this and this. Like, I do that same thing too. And I don't understand something. I kind of like try to put puzzle pieces together and like look up stuff. I think people saying like, oh, Whitney was like being shady to Jen. I'm like, no, she's trying to understand this information at once. Like, I probably would have done the same. So that was a stupid argument.
True. As much as I am annoyed by Whitney in
Yeah.
every way, I do feel like that is valid, and I probably would have done the same thing. Like
Yeah,
you're looking for answers, you're trying to understand, you're
yeah,
trying to see like, hey, has anything come out about this? You're
totally.
just left there with this huge shock, not having any answers. So
Mhm.
totally, it's natural to be seeking that.
Yeah,
Um, I did love Meredith's graceful entrance into the
yeah.
trip. She had drove up there by herself and she just shows up and hears about it. She's like, "Oh, well,
Mhm.
okay," and has a bath and she's just like in her element. I just love
Yeah.
that energy.
I was just gonna say, like, that would be you in the show. Like
Like,
finding out this
"Oh,
information in the bath and be like, okay,
okay."
I'm not surprised.
Can't say I'm surprised, but it doesn't really affect me.
Oh my God. Yeah, brutal.
I think it's super valid.
Yeah, and I remember too, like my partner and I were watching that episode together and like seeing them all again, like process and try to understand, like, and they were trying to put puzzle pieces together, and I can imagine watching that back, be like, damn, I just got arrested and y'all are talking about me like that. But I, again, like I said, I kind of agree with that. But my partner was like, it's so funny to think of like Jen watching this back and what she would think. And then when she ultimately gets out, it's because not like she got arrested and stayed in jail forever. Like she got out on bail like pretty soon after that.
Yep,
Just being back with the ladies, like, hey
I
guys.
know. I
Sorry
know.
about that.
Uh, Actually, that kind of jogs my memory that I think the Zion trip was while she was out on bail because there was all
Mm,
this questioning of like, did
yeah.
you tip them off? Was it you, Meredith? And there was that
Right.
tension between Meredith and Jen. But
Oh
I think
yeah, it's
that
so
night
stupid.
yeah, but then that night, I think they also like worked it out for the first time. Like they had a talk much later and they were like, let's work on our friendship. Um, yeah, what a roller coaster.
Yeah, Meredith did not. And I love when she was like, I'm flattered that people think like that I would know and be part of this, but
Yeah.
absolutely not.
100%. That whole thing was so stupid.
It was.
And just around like grieving her father's death
Oh
and
my
just
God, I know.
taking time to herself and kind of disconnecting from the group. Like, no wonder,
Yeah.
no wonder. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was garbage.
Wow. I mean, these trips really brought out a lot of drama. A lot of things happen when we're traveling too. Like, I think a lot of tension and stress can kind of come out even when you're with people that you love, let alone coworkers that you probably hate and have like
Yeah.
deep resentment for.
Oh, man,
Not
it's so
always the
true.
comfiest.
Yeah, when you have to be under the same roof with someone like overnight or for
Yeah.
multiple nights and you just don't have a break, you don't
Yeah.
have time apart,
Yeah.
things come to the surface.
Yeah, it's all the FaceTime calls to their partners that we see
Yeah.
too. Like, that would
Oh
be me.
man, I know. I love it.
Well,
There's yeah,
I'm
so
looking.
many that we could give a shout out to
I
and
know.
I'd love to hear from everyone else if there's trips that were really memorable or favorites
Yeah,
of yours, ones that we didn't mention because there's just so many, like we
I
said.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you were to go on a trip, where would you want to go? Where would be your first pick as a cast? If you and I were on a cast together, where would you want to go?
Oh my gosh. I would go anywhere with you.
Ah.
I do like if we're thinking about the trips that we've seen done, I
Mhm.
think that Iceland would be really
I know, me
fun.
too.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go anywhere. What about
Uh,
you?
um, I really liked, I mean, I would love to do the Dubai thing just to be in those hotel rooms. That would be really
Yeah.
cool. But I just love watching Salt Lake City. Maybe it's just because it's airing right now, but doing something to do with like skiing or being in the mountains, I think would just be so much fun.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, the winter fashion of it is sweet. So that's what
I
I would like to
know.
do.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, there were a lot of Colorado trips.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills did some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love
there's lots of
those.
good winter
Or
fashion there.
yeah, when Beverly Hills they went to where was it with the hats where Kyle saw those
I
hats?
thought that was Colorado. I
Yeah,
could be
okay.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's what I would want to
Western.
do.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would
Yeah.
wear a cowboy hat for you.
Thanks, me. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And we're looking forward to next week's episode already. And until
Yes.
next time on Come
We
Be Bothered.
see you then.
Bye.